when I see a homeless person, I'm not always going to give them money. Sometimes I give them a dollar, some change, whatever. You know, I can't give it to everybody. I'm not balling out like that. But what I will always do is I will look them in the eye and wish them the best. And I'll just say, like, I can't, but, you know, I really hope you get some today, you know, because most people, they don't want to look at them because it reminds them of this part of themselves that maybe they're too afraid that they're one bad decision away from getting there themselves. Mm-hmm. And it's scary to look at a person who is very sick and very poor and very needy, because especially when you are opulent in so many ways. And I think what those people need more than anything else is a meal and a conversation. If I have the time, dude, and you're not completely crazy, which I've encountered too, man. I mean, one guy, I was just like talking about his story and he's like, well, if the fucking aliens and the government didn't fucking come in and take my brain. And I was like, oh, this is a whole other level. I can't help you at all. Oh my God.
Well, that's most people homeless are not in Florida.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And you're like, do you want some of these mushrooms?
Yeah. Right? Yeah. And dude, I saw when I got off a bus yesterday, and I immediately saw a guy that was clearly on, a hardcore drug addict. He's like, "Do you have any money?" I was like, "I don't have any cash, but I have a fresh Gatorade in my bag, and you can totally have that." Like that's one. And he just looked at it like, "Oh, yes." A cold beverage, like on a hot day in Florida.
I never expected that.
Dude, one time a guy approached me in an intersection in LA. He was like, "Do you have any money on you?" And I was like, "No," because I didn't. But I had a bottle of hand lotion, of cream. And I was like, "Dude," and I gave him this. And this guy looked at it like it was a fucking $100 bill.
Was he ashy?
He was very ashy. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Which, another great roast joke about me, thank you, Fifi Dosh, said Alex is the ashiest man from Baltimore, from a city that was burned by crackheads or something like that. Great fucking joke. Really good. But yeah, he was basically, because if you're homeless, that is the last thing you're going to spend money on is lotion.
Fucking
You're
lotion.
thinking of so many other things. You're not thinking of your skin, even though it hurts to be that dry. And that was one of those things where it's like, it's those little things. Giving someone a pair of socks is worth so much more than giving them $1 sometimes, because it's the things that they wouldn't buy. And, again, I can't do it for everybody, but if I have the time and a little bit of extra, I'm more than happy to give it away. I have this philosophy that, and it's a lot of people's like it's a lot of people think like this. I didn't come up with this, but whatever you give out will come back to you twofold eventually. So if I give a homeless person $1, somewhere along the way, I will be rewarded with $2. I don't know how, I don't know where, I don't know when, but it's going to happen. Right. And if you think like that, then it's so much easier to give it. I don't need to hoard $1.
Right.
That means the world to this person. It means nothing to me. So I just try to think like that as much as I can. That's why the roasting thing is so fun for me, is because if you don't know who I am, you don't realize that I'm this completely paradoxical person to what I present myself as on stage. And that's just this flamboyant character that I'm just having fun and being silly with. But the real truth is, I fucking love everyone. I have so much compassion for humanity, and I'm so hopeful for our existence. And that's what I really want to convey, and I think that's what comes off in my podcast and why people are willing to talk to me about this shit.
That's fucking amazing. Have you ever heard of Soft White Underbelly?
No.
He's a guy. His name's Mark Leda. He's a professional photographer. He used to be like work in the advertising world, and he used to work for like big ad agencies. He takes like all like the product photos for Apple, that kind of shit, and then basically he quit doing that, and then he bought this little studio on Skid Row. And he just takes in homeless people, and he just sits there and interviews them for 30 minutes.
Whoa.
And his channel, he started it, I think he started like maybe beginning of last year, and it's already got almost 2 million subscribers. And he is like blowing up. Like he gets like these people on there that just tell these stories, and it's, for some reason, it really connects to people. Like he asks these people how they ended up where they are. Like a lot of them homeless. One guy had like a shotgun wound through his face. He had half of his face missing.
Jesus.
And like the worst, most fucked up people on earth. And he said the number one common denominator with all those people is fucked up parents.
Yeah, it's a big one. It's huge. I mean, the thing is, those are such informative years on you that, you know, from 1 till like 9 is your parents are your biggest influences in your life. And if they are abusive, if they're dismissive, if they're absent, if they're too much of one thing, that is all getting directed toward you in a way that you don't know how to cope with yet. And that's so difficult. And so these people learn terrible habits and they don't feel enough love early on. And that is a big thing. One of the things I love doing when I'm on the road is I walk. I just walk around cities, right? That's how I ended up in that shitty area of Miami, is because I'm just like, well, I don't know where I'm going. I'll just walk. So, but I love, if I realize that a homeless person is not at all threatening, like they go, hey man, can I get $1 or something? I'm like, do you want some food? Like, there's a hamburger place right here. You want to sit outside and just have a burger? I'll buy you a burger. And then I just talk to them, because most people, the biggest thing that they're missing, I mean, other than pants and, you know, clean clothes and things like that, it's communication. They don't have a core of people to talk to. Like, Shane, if you had a problem, you would have a couple people that you're like, I know exactly who I need to call right now, and I got to talk this shit out, and I got buddies or I got family that I can be like, okay, I'm calling you up and I need you for 20 minutes or whatever. These people don't have that shit. And so sometimes I'll just be a voice to them. And what I find is when I'm on the road and I talk to people, because I'm good at asking questions, that people know that I'm a fleeting moment of their life, that I'm not sticking around. I don't live where you are. So they tell me a lot of things that people normally wouldn't tell you. I've been in Florida for a week now. I have had 2 women tell me the story of how they were widowed in a week. And I'm just drinking. I'm just having a beer with them after a show. And the thing is, they feel this comfort with me because they know that I'm going to be gone in a day.
You're not judging them.
I'm just listening to them. And so the things that would take a long time for them to tell someone that they wanted to be in a relationship with, and of any kind, they will put out on me because I'm about to leave. So there's this trust in strangers that you kind of just like will tell people things. So that's why I think that's why that's so successful, is because these are human interest stories that people don't seek out otherwise. It's hard to listen to a homeless person talk about when their kids were taken away because they got too fucked up on drugs, and then they lost their job, and then the house mortgage flipped on them. And the stories of how those people got there are heartbreaking. And for a lot of people, they can't stand to listen to them. But so for someone who is taking the time to look for them and to interview them and to just spend some time really talking to them like a person, that's the most beautiful thing.